just didn't, I really didn't want to live the way I was living for those first 2 years for the rest of my life. And if it wasn't going to work out with, quote unquote, the dog, I didn't really see any other options. So I had a plan. I was going to throw a big old party with with the friends that I still had left. And after all was said and done, I was going to have myself a big old ice cream sundae with some specialized sprinkles and be done with it. My name is Anthony Corona, and I am fully blind, legally blind. I am a guide dog user. My guide dog's name is Bodhi. He's from the Guide Dog Foundation in Smithtown, Long Island. And I have him because I'm a fast-paced, fast-moving person. And although the cane is an incredible mobility tool, and many from my community, our community, use it and use it effectively, it was not a tool that worked well for me. And, I needed to explore the guide dog situation. And from the first walk with Bodhi, I knew that this is what I needed. About 11 years ago, I had a whitewater rafting accident. At that point, I went in and my head struck a rock, and I had what they call bilateral retina detachments, which means from both eyes. Fast forward a couple of years, and I had a case of shingles. It wasn't presenting on my body in any way, so I didn't actually know that I had it until I started getting headaches and seeing floaters and weird flashes in my eyes. When I went to the doctor, they finally figured out that it was the shingles, but by the time they figured it out, it was a little too late. There was a lot of scar tissue and damage. The shingles were basically attacking and eating at the retinas, the tissues in my ears, the tissues around my brain. When you lose your eyesight, you have to retrain, your ears and your brain to pick up things, sounds, cues. So between, using the stick as an obstacle detection, which is, the foldable collapsing cane, between using that and your ears and knowing your surroundings, that's what they call mobility training. And it sounds easy, but it really isn't. It takes a lot. When the skill set started to solidify before Bodhi, and I realized how difficult navigating the outside world was, I didn't really want to do it. I didn't really want to live very, very much. And I realized, I was 40 at the time, 40 years old. So, I've got, if God is, good to me, I've got at least another 40 years of this. I don't think I have it in me to live this way for 40 years. My masculinity, I didn't even feel as intelligent as I used to. My career was gone in a second. And I pushed away most of my friends, all of my acquaintances, and even most of my closer friends. I just didn't want them to see me that way. I've always been strong. I've always been the one that people come to for help, for advice, and I didn't want them to see me that way. So by the time, the school finally called me and said, "We're going to give you a shot," and honestly, that's what it was. It was giving me a shot. They really weren't sure I was ready for a guide dog. Typically, they don't give you, they don't set you up for a match unless you have at least 2 years of independent mobility, which means, not still in training, etc. But they took a chance on me, and thank God they did.
First puppy that we raised that became a guide dog for someone, we met his person. He went blind later in life and tried to work with a cane. It did not work out for him. When he got a guide dog, his life changed. His world opened back up. He is thriving now after a few years with his guide dog. It's amazing to see the difference in what these dogs can do for people's lives. Hi, my name is Holly Eshrick. I work with the Guide Dog Foundation. I've been working with them as an area coordinator since 2016. I'm a puppy raiser, and I am the current raiser for Tucker, the puppy with a purpose from WBAO.
I'm Eric Newton, and I too am an AC for the Guide Dog Foundation and have been working with the Guide Dog Foundation since 2016.
The Guide Dog Foundation is a not-for-profit organization that breeds, raises, and places guide dogs with someone who's blind or visually impaired, all free of charge. They have a lot of volunteer staff as well as in-house staff that trains the dogs.
Being a puppy raiser includes taking the puppies from really small and getting them up big enough to do their formal training.
So when they're 8 weeks old, they come down, the first thing we teach them is their name. It's called name recognition. So they learn that when we say their name, they look at us, they get a treat. And we teach them sit, down, stay. That's super basic obedience. After about 2 weeks, we start taking them out to classes where they learn to approach a group of puppies and not react, where they learn to approach a group of puppies and still listen to their handler, behave well, and do their obedience commands.
And it goes from there. I mean, at each month or every 2 months, there's additional skills and additional things that we add on to what they're expected to do. We take them to places where we know that there are open back stairs, so stairs that you can see through, because sometimes the dogs get halfway up and they're like, what is this craziness? I can see through these stairs. It's not like the ground. Some dogs have no problem and some dogs do it, and you just smooth that out with repetition and retries. We take them to public places that have elevators, just getting them into elevators, and we'll squish each raiser in with their puppy, and so we'll get like 8 dogs in an elevator.
And make a clown car coming out.
Yeah, and trying to get the dogs to be in that close proximity to each other and just sitting and behaving, and so that kind of interaction really can't be duplicated with the raiser by themselves. They're not going to interact with that many puppies at the same time. They're not going to interact with that many calm puppies at the same time if they're interacting with other dogs that are pets. And so it's a really great opportunity for them to just build those skills with all these distractions. And up until the point where we get to about 12 months old, when the puppies are 12 months old, and they go through an assessment where it's a formal assessment with somebody else within the organization, asking them to do different behaviors and interact with their handler, and they're sort of scored on that. And we give an idea of where they are formally at that point. And we then perform the same thing again at 15 months to make sure that they're ready to go and they're ready to go in for their formal training.
In the Guide Dog Foundation, they'll learn how to properly guide their person, stop at a curb to make sure they don't trip, stop at a impediment like a tree branch or a fire hydrant or something coming their way, to give their handler a choice to decide what they want to do. So they'll learn to guide them from point to point, but they'll also learn to help them make decisions on their own, like when to cross the street.
Walking around, going to the store, catching a bus, catching a plane. Bodhi, I don't know. I've taken walks with sighted friends and family. My puppy raiser, Holly, who introduced me to this project, and I've asked them, tell me, what's going on? Because we'll swerve, we'll do something. I have no idea what we just walked past, what obstacle he just took me past. He has saved my life multiple times. I found a community in the American Council of the Blind, and found my partner, found my new home. I think God or the universe sets it up so you get what you need if you're really ready to receive it. And I got a dog that's half dog, half cat. He very much does his own thing, but he knows when I need him emotionally, and he's right there. It's amazing. I can't stress it enough. He is the very best thing that has ever happened.